So now I'll be starting the last lecture of renal block. I must explain to you, I'm not going in detail, but I just put it there for those who are in doubts. Now, you said prostate is partially, nobody said that. Partly it's glandular, partly it's muscular, partly it's fibrous. So it has, if you take a prostatic tissue under the microscope, you can see part of it is a gland, part of it is a muscle, part of it is a fiber. Number of gland increases, number of cells increases, number of fiber increases. So where is the most problematic prostate? If the number of fiber increases. It does not depend on increase in size. Fibrous element increases, it causes problem. The third point, penetrated by a proximal part of urethra. So never say prostatic urethra. Somebody said here, prostatic urethra. So proximal part of the urethra, because before prostatic urethra we have another part of the urethra. So that is more appropriate, pre-prostatic. So it's normally broader than its length. So it's like a walnut. I hope everybody knows a walnut, juice. It's more broader than height. So this is a classic, prostate is exactly like that. Now somebody was bringing the age issues. He messed up with that. What happens when we were born? It was the size of a peanut. And now I think most of you, your prostate will be of the size of a mishmish. You know what is mishmish? Yes. Apricot. It's the size of an apricot. And if it has been bothering you, it may reach to a size of a small size orange, Portugal. It can reach that size. And if it's worst for you, it may reach to the size of a grapefruit. You know, from the big ones, it can reach, but very rarely. But Abusara size, yes. You don't know what is Abusara. It's a type of an orange. Navel. When you go to any fruit place, you see the navel. The navel is Abusara. In Arabic they call it Abusara. It has a baby orange sitting in its base. It's one of the ones seedless, it's sweet. Now, in females, so when you're touching other genders, be careful. Be ready for the other question. So in the female, homologous is a small group of paraurethral glands, and they are called glands of Schickini. So that is the counterpart in females. Make sense? Prostate provides 30% of the volume of seminal fluid, and most come from the seminal vesicle, not from the prostate itself. Now, prostate.
What's the function of skin gland?
Are you a female? It's a remnant. It is a remnant. It has some secretions. Why are you concerned with that? Are you dealing with transgender issues?
Doctor, we are doctors. We have to know everything.
Yeah. Khalas, let me finish that. Today I have a lecture continuously up till 4 o'clock. After that we'll sit down for a long session.
Tomorrow.
We'll do everything.
That's good.
So now, capsule of the prostate. Prostatic tissue is surrounded by a very thick organized capsule, which makes it a confined, which gives it its shape. That's called the true capsule of the prostate. Why we need to say a word true capsule? Because it's surrounded by another fibrous layer, and that we call it as the false capsule. And between this true capsule, the true capsule is a thin, strong layer of connective tissue. At the periphery of the gland forms the prostate, and then the false capsule is a condensation of the pelvic fascia. So that we call as the false capsule, and in between these two layers we had prostatic plexus of veins. So there we have a bunch of veins who surround the prostatic capsule. True capsule and false capsule, who lives in between, is the prostatic venous plexus. Now somebody brought this concern. Let me finish it here. This prostatic plexus of veins is connected through vertebral veins. These vertebral veins, they go to the vertebral plexus, not spinal cord. They go to the vertebral plexus. And this vertebral plexus, it ascends up. It reaches to the base of the skull. So from the vertebral plexus, through the veins, if someone's prostate is malignant, if someone's prostate is cancerous, cancer cell may travel through these vertebral veins to the vertebral plexus. They may involve the vertebrae. Not only the lumbar region, it can go to the thoracic lumbar, thoracic, it can go to the cervical, it can go to the base of the skull. Ultimately, it can go to the brain. So how these people will come to your clinic? These people will never come to say, doctor, I have prostate cancer. Most of the time, these people walk in your clinics and they will say, they will never talk of urinary problems most of the time. They'll talk of, they'll present in orthopedic centers, orthopedic clinics, and they present with backache. They talk of backache, and once you investigate, then you find, oh, the vertebrae has been involved, there is some pathology occurring. And when you investigate it further, then you come to know this is the prostatic cancer which has infiltrated the vertebrae. And remember, when any cancer moves from its target organ to any neighboring area or a far area, it means cancer has spread. Now, your treatment options has been changed. We do workup, we inform the patient, fine, you have a prostatic cancer. Next question, how long I will survive? Now, you have to, there is a mechanism. If you are not good with the lymphatics, then you are in trouble. If you're asked about a cancer and if you don't know about the lymphatics, you know nothing. So, you do a workout and then you can predict, fine. We will, you know, with every cancer prostate, you cannot do surgery. We had limitation. Once it's been spreaded, usually surgery is not the answer. Because it has gone to the other organs. How many things you will remove? You remove vertebrae, 3 vertebrae, how you make him stand? A person who's walking can survive for 4 years. Remove his vertebrae, now he is in the bed. Die of pneumonia next year, collapse. Are you increasing, are you doing benefit, or are you destroying him? So, we have to calculate and we have to weigh that this maneuver, this method, help my patient or destroy my patient. You can inform, you can take him in confidence, look, this is what happened. But we have options. Anyway, we'll talk about it. But be good with this, that the cancer from the prostate gland travels through the vertebral veins, to the vertebral plexus, through the vertebral plexus, to the vertebrae, to the base of the skull, to the brain.
Until it reaches the vertebrae, no science comes before.
Usually never, you can never come to know that. Someone is, because you are lucky if you have urinary problems. You are lucky if you have urinary problem. Then you come for the evaluation of urinary problem and then it can be noticed that, oh, this person is having prostate cancer. So prostate cancer usually not present with urinary problems. It's less likely. Man, these batteries are not working. Prostate never presents with constipation. It may present with constipation once it's too late. That prostate has become that big. It compresses on the rectum and no feces is coming out. So that's a very, 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 very late manifestation. Prostate cancer presents with backaches. That's a normal presentation. You are lucky if you have urinary symptoms. What are the urinary symptoms? I'll be talking about those.
Third time of true capsule forms the bottom prostate. Third time of
True capsule, a thin strong layer of connective tissue at the periphery of the gland, forms the capsule of the prostate. I just typed it yesterday, so I forgot the typo. When I'll upload it, I'll change it, don't worry. Now, when we look into a sagittal section, a male, we are looking at the sacral vertebrae, we are looking at symphysis pubis, and then we are looking at the vertebral canal. What is this structure? Quickly.
Medial.
Linea alba. And there is the urinary bladder, which has the urethus. Urethus is a structure which is attached to the apex of the urinary bladder. This structure has to be fused, has to be obliterated, has to be closed. If it's not closed, it creates problem. This newborn, this infant, you will notice some fluid coming out from the umbilicus. What is that? Once bladder is full, urine will come out from here, and you can see this urine coming out of, you don't know, is it urine or what? You'll see some fluid coming out of the umbilicus. if you test this fluid, oh, it's urine, then it means this channel has not closed. So this is completely patent. Paul has explained to you in his Urachus, he must have explained to you allantois and all those things. So this is Urachus. Now, the cavity of the urinary bladder is hollow and it is drained by this urethra. It has different parts of it, we'll talk about that. But this is how the drainage of the urinary bladder has been achieved in a male. Now, this is the external urethral meatus from where urine comes out. In the males, we had one pathway for the sperms and for the urine. In females, we have two pathways. One for urine, she has a separate urethra. And for genital purposes, for intercourse, she has a vagina, which is a separate channel. For the influx of sperms, she had a separate channel. But males have the same channel for urine and for sperms. Now, we have a muscle which goes transversely. It is a deep muscle. We call it deep transverse perineal muscle. And it is covered by a membrane which is called perineal membrane. There is another place where so many muscles meet. And this we call it as the perineal body. So perineal body is this structure. Going further, prostate gland, as you were mentioning, is something which is living between the urinary bladder, base of the urinary, like the neck of the urinary bladder, and above this urogenital diaphragm. And urogenital diaphragm resting above the pelvic diaphragm. You learn about abdominothoracic diaphragm. Now we'll be learning here a pelvic diaphragm. What is pelvic diaphragm? Is a group of muscles who makes some support for so many pelvic organs, and these organs have been kept. So this is pelvic diaphragm. This is my second diaphragm. Then we have a diaphragm in the mouth, oral diaphragm. Then we have a diaphragm in the brain. So we have 4 established diaphragms. Fifth diaphragm is urogenital diaphragm. So now the prostate gland is this one. And then we learned that on the posterior surface of the urinary bladder, in males, not in females. In males, we had seminal vesicle. What is seminal vesicle? Seminal vesicle is a reservoir, is a storage place. Sperms made in the testes, they've been transported to the urethra. But we don't need sperm every minute. So these sperms, they traverse through a tube called vas deferens. So vas deferens come to the base or the posterior surface of the urinary bladder, where it is connected with this seminal vesicle. And the sperm, whosoever has been made, they are stored in the seminal vesicle. And at the time of ejaculation, this seminal vesicle contracts and it releases these sperms. And they have been pushed into the urethra so they can reach to the vagina and to the cervix and to the ova, so that process of fertilization can start. Is that clear? So this is, you are looking at the seminal vesicle. Then I have introduced something here. Just look at under surface of this prostate gland. There is a skeletal muscle. This muscle is primarily from a component from the pelvic diaphragm, and this muscle is here, is working as a sphincter. So this is the external urethral sphincter. And what is the job of this external urethral sphincter? It closes, closes urethra once we are not in a restroom. You had an urge to pass urine, but you will wait till you reach to the restroom, you take off your clothes, you sit down, you adopt the position, then you pass urine. So at that time, your detrusors contract. Detrusor contract, there is a push occurring onto the content of the bladder. So as a push, in the same time, this external sphincter, which is in your control, which is voluntary, which is skeletal muscle, it opens up. Once it opens up, we pass urine out. Make sense? So external urethral sphincter is voluntary, is in your control. and is innervated by pudendal nerve. Pudendal nerve, you remember today I was talking in the morning time, is the one which is coming from the lower segment of the spinal cord through its spinal nerves. So now this is sphincter urethra muscle, and then there is some erectile tissue which surrounds the whole urethra. We call it corpora spongiosum. Corpora spongiosum is the internal layer which surrounds the urethra. Then we have, and this contributes even to the glands of the penis. This foreign part is the glands of the penis. And then we have another layer, another erectile tissue, which is corpus cavernosum. Cavernosum means cave-like. It is empty otherwise. What happens? What happens once you have to achieve erection? Once you get erection, after a sexual stimulus, you get an erection. What happens exactly during erection? The blood enters this corpora cavernosum. Once it is filled with the blood, you achieve an erection. You achieve an erection, you finish with your process of intercourse. Once you are done, this blood goes back. This is the normal rhythm. There are some people who use artificial methods, and they presume this is a good method of getting erection. They use certain medicines. They use certain devices. As a result of that, they come in a problem. And the problem is what? Corpora cavernosum, after finishing intercourse, does not deflate. Blood is not returning. Now blood is not returning. Now person maintains erection. Person maintains erection for hours. And it becomes so painful. If it persists more than 24 hours, person can become impotent for rest of his life. And this condition is called priapism. If someone have an erection which extends more than 24 hours, this is called priapism. It's a very painful procedure. There are so many methods. People try to put needles in the corpora, try to drain out this blood. There are so many ways. We don't want to go in those treatment plans. But all efforts has to be made because the deadline is 24 hours. If someone lives with a sustained erection more than 24 hours, there are fair chances that this person can become impotent. By saying impotent means he will never ever have erection again. That's end of it. So those people who use artificial methods to achieve good erection, they may get this problem which is known as priapism, and it is one of the emergency. If someone has that, he has to report to the hospital. No matter what are the social taboos, what are the social issues, one has to report to the hospital, and there it needs a definitive then and there treatment. Is that clear? So this corpora cavernosa is an erectile tissue. Normally penis remains flaccid, but once this corpora is filled by the blood, one achieves erection. And this erection goes off once you finish the act. But if this stays and it crosses more than 24 hours, that's the trouble area. Now going further, there is another tissue which surrounds the part. We call it bulbospongiosus muscle, chair. And then what do we have? There is the fascia, the deep fascia, which surrounds the penis. That deep fascia is given a name, and that is called Buck's fascia. Buck's fascia is the deep fascia which surrounds the penis, not the urethra. And now, this is very important. What is this?
There's a ligament.
We call it suspensory ligament of the penis. We talk about this suspensory ligament. Now, somebody was talking that prostate gland lives in front of the rectum. Very good. So there you go. And somebody said, when we want to check, like I want to look for liver of someone, I can put my hand on the abdomen. I can feel for that. I want to look for spleen. I can put my hand on the area of spleen. If it is enlarged, I can feel it. I want to feel for bladder, I can feel for it. I want to feel for kidney, I can put my hand in this region where kidneys are living. I do push a little bit down so I can palpate the kidney. But ureter I can never palpate because they are so thin and they are deep inside structures. So, what I was talking here, if I want to feel the prostate, so what I do, I insert my finger from the rectum and anterior to my pulp of the finger, I can feel the posterior surface of the prostate. And by feeling the prostate, why it's important? Any abdominal examination is never complete if you don't do a rectal examination. Because by inserting your finger into the rectum, you can find so many problems which are associated with our GI things. You can talk in a big way about prostate. You can tell this is a cancerous prostate or is a normal prostate. You can tell this prostate needs surgery or not. So you can find so many. You can say that this person has prostatitis, inflammation of the prostate or not. So there are so many diseases which are present anteriorly, so many diseases which are present laterally, so many diseases which are present backwards, so many other conditions which we can depict by inserting the finger into the rectum. Hemorrhoids, so many things. So this is an integral part of abdominal examination. And it has to be done like that. We call it DRE. DRE, the word means digital rectal examination. There is no digital machine. Our finger is a digit. So digital rectal examination. You put your finger, you insert your finger into the rectum and you feel anteriorly the presence for the prostate. I hope I'm clear to everybody. So rectum and the anal canal is there. Now I was talking about this pelvic diaphragm. So there is a muscle. There is a group of muscles which comes from the back and it comes to this perineal body, and these group of muscles include levator ani muscle, it has the piriformis and it has the coccygeus. So these three muscles, and on the side we have obturator internus. They work together, they make one complete. The base is formed by the levator ani, then we have coccygeus, then we have piriformis. And on the side walls we have the obturator internus. On the other side we have ileosac. So this is how a complete home is being made. And the muscle who contributes to my pelvic floor, they are levator ani, piriformis and coccygeus. That's it. So this is my levator ani muscle. And levator ani muscle is the one whose fibers are giving us the sphincters around the anus, sphincter around the urethra. And they are the one who are innervated by this pudendal nerve. I'll be showing to you. Now you can see this. There I have these three. So anal sphincter is the most strongest sphincter in our body. It has three external sphincters. Urethra has one external sphincter. Three external sphincters are dedicated for the anal canal. So the fecal incontinence, the leakage of feces is the last thing to come in our body. But urinary incontinence, dribbling of urine is allowed there. So now we have external anal sphincter. Now this is the endopelvic fascia, and inside we have, and there is fascia transversalis. This purple thing is the peritoneal cavity. What is more interesting for us, we have the peritoneum, it dips in front of the rectum and then it ascends up. So it leaves a space here, we call it rectovesical pouch. Please don't call it pouch of Douglas. Pouch of Douglas for female, and that is rectouterine pouch. So rectovesical pouch is in males only, and that is not pouch of Douglas. So it is a space, if you are standing, if there is any free fluid which is in our cavity, in our peritoneal cavity, that can be visible here. One can depict here. Now going further, can you see that? We learn in our body, under the skin we have superficial fascia, which has a fatty layer and a membranous layer. So our lower part of our body is also, so this whole lower part, we can see that the superficial layer which is fatty. This fatty layer has a name. What is the name? Camper's fascia. And then the membranous layer, which is also there, you can see that blue thing. That is the Scarpa's fascia. So Camper's and Scarpa are the normal layers, but we were learning in MSK as fatty layer and membranous layer. So they are given a name. Now the same thing, when it goes down, it gets different names. Let's follow it. When it is covering, when it is going outside the penile thing, we give it a name. We call it here Colles fascia, when it is going here. When it is coming in the scrotum, we call it dartus fascia. Make sense?
And this is the continuation of the curve.
Yeah, same is going. It's the same layer, but we to distinguish it from the others, we name it separately. Now, you can see something more. Now, we said that between the true capsule and the false capsule, we have a mesh of the veins. And that is the venous plexus, prostatic venous plexus. We said that it is connected through the vertebral veins of Burton with the vertebral plexus, and then that is the source for spreading. And you know, these people present with backache. So once vertebrae get the cancer, vertebrae destroys. So the nerves which are emerging from that, they got compressed. Nerves got compressed, we got pain. So people think it's a backache, but actually it's not. It's a cancer which has been spreaded from the prostate to the vertebrae of the body, to the back. Now, coming to the posterior view of urinary bladder, we talked about this slide before. So this is how we have structures on the posterior surface. Vas deferens, seminal vesicles, they join together and they make ejaculatory duct. And we have two ejaculatory ducts. They go through the prostatic tissue. They never open that. They go and they connect with the urethra. And their objective is what? To carry the semen. Semen contains sperms. And later on, it is being added by other secretions, which are coming from prostate and coming from seminal vesicles. So these are the vas deferens. And these are the ureters. Look how close ureters are with the vas deferens. And now this is the ampulla of the vas. This is the seminal vesicle. Let's open it. You can see it's hollow inside. That's the place for storage. And that's the ejaculatory duct. And it continues, it comes out as urethra. Now there we have transverse perineal muscle. Now in the transverse perineal muscle, the part of the urethra who travels through the transverse perineal muscle, that part of the urethra is known as the membranous urethra. The part of the urethra which travels through this transverse perineal muscle, that we call as membranous urethra. Now these are the glands. These are bulbourethral glands. We can see the part of the urethra which passes through the prostate. It has numerous openings, and these openings are bringing the secretions of the prostate. And in between, the crest of the urethra, it shows some elevation. This crest of the elevated part of the crest, that is given a name of seminal colliculus. But in clinics, we don't call it seminal colliculus, we love to call it verumontanum. Verumontanum is a raised area, and this is a very, very, very important point. When we are resecting a prostate, when we are operating on prostatic tissue, when we are doing a surgery for prostate endoscopically, when we reach to the verumontanum is my cut off. I should not cut before verumontanum. If I cut there, it means I will be cutting external sphincter. If I cut someone's external sphincter, it means I will make him urinate. He will not have a control on urine. Now this old man presented to me with, doctor, my father is unable to pass urine. And when he is passing urine, he found it very difficult. Now, doctor, what you have done after surgery, he cannot control his urine. All the time, whatsoever urine is made is leaking out. What happened? You have killed the external sphincter of the urethra. Because verumontanum is a landmark which tells you this is the level. If you go beyond, if you cut a little bit, then you will be damaging external urethral sphincter. Yes?
And this there would be like
This external sphincter, internal landmark, how I know where is the internal sphincter? So verumontanum is an internal indicator. If you resect beyond, you are killing. You are killing yourself. Now, I talk about the capsule. You see the prostatic urethra which passes through the prostate. Remember, the prostatic urethra is the widest part of the urethra, most wide part of the urethra. And then this is the prostatic tissue. And this purple thing is the true capsule. There is this plexus of vein and this fibrous condensation, which is the endopelvic fascia thing. And that is the one which we call it as the false capsule. And between this true capsule and false capsule, we have this plexus. Is that right? Now this is a normal Urinary bladder, just below to it, this is the first part of the urethra, this is the second part of the urethra, this is the third part of the urethra, and you can see this elevated place is known as the verumontanum, and there we have opening of these ejaculatory duct, and this opening of the utricle is representative of vagina and uterus. Males don't have vagina and uterus, and this utricle is representative of that. Now this is a simply highlighting of the same place. Now, the urethra, when it comes out of the bladder, it is surrounded by so many layers, and it receives these ejaculatory ducts. They are coming from seminal vesicles and vas deferens. They are connected with that. You see that inside is the verumontanum. Now the first structure who surrounds the urethra completely, the innermost layer who surrounds the urethra completely, that is known as transitional zone of the prostate. Transitional zone of the prostate is that zone of the prostate which surrounds the urethra directly. If I have enlargement, he was trying to say, he said it wrong, there are 8 changes, it's not shape changes. 8 changes which occurs with the prostatic tissue, with the growth of the prostatic tissue. If we have more fibrous element in this part of the prostate, that will cause what? It will cause compression. Look, this room is made for 85 students. Seating place, not saying in between. It's for 85 people. Now, if you bring 2,000 people in this room, what will happen? Those who are in center, they will be squeezed. So once I increase this one, the one which is going through it, that will get maximum pressure. So once it gets pressure, so when we pass urine, now before urine was flowing freely, now urine is going under a pressure zone. Your road is wide open, you drive through nicely. But if there is some digging out, some construction, some metro is making on the side, so they narrow down your roads. So then only one car can go. So before that, you have a zahma. And after that, you enjoy. Where is the obstruction? I'm not enjoying. Nobody is behind me. It happens or not? So once this urethra, which passes through it, once this part of the prostate, this is the part of the prostate, if it is enlarged, it will affect flow of the urine. It will affect flow of the urine. Now, after this, it is surrounded by another part, a wedge-shaped thing that is covering the ejaculatory duct. So this we call as central zone. If central zone shows any enlargement, it is not affecting directly the urethra. And it's not even affecting the ejaculatory ducts, because we are not ejaculating every minute. Got it? So the transitional zone of the prostate is responsible for causing problem with the flow of the urine. And the central zone of the prostate is primarily not responsible for any major issue which is occurring with the prostate. If it occurs, it's your bad day. Like normally, it is not been described, it is not been prescribed. Going further, I put more layers to it. You can see still inside, there is urethra, there is my transitional zone which was in direct contact. There was the central zone which is only covering these ejaculatory ducts. Now there is a big stuff, 70% of the gland, and this region we call it the peripheral zone. So it surrounds the whole gland, but it's not compressing on the urethra directly, it's compressing on the urethra indirectly. And this peripheral zone is the zone which is responsible for cancer grows here. Cancer grows in the peripheral zone. So cancer, if you are suspecting cancers, they will grow here. And when someone has a cancer in the prostate, this becomes hard. Do you know what is the difference between hard, soft and firm?
No.
Say it if you know. Okay, you don't know it. Say it.
Squeeze.
How you can give example? I am strong enough, I can squeeze everything. Soft. Touch it, do it, but I'm saying. Touch it. Feel it. How you feel this? Amir, you don't have here? Is it soft?
Yes.
Now, touch the tip of your nose. Is it different from that soft?
Yes.
It is firm. Now touch your desk or your book. This is hard. Now, can you differentiate between soft, firm and hard? So prostate, when we put our finger in, if it feels hard, cancer. If it feels firm and enlarged, benign hypertrophy. If it feels soft, prostatitis, inflammation of the prostate. So just putting one finger in, you have 3 diseases ruled out. Hard, cancer. Which zone? Peripheral zone. Soft, peripheral zone, but it is inflammation involved everywhere. Prostatitis. And firm, peripheral, not peripheral zone, transitional zone. So you have benign disease of the prostate. So you can say a big prostate with firm consistency, it is BPH. A soft prostate, no matter enlarged or not enlarged, is a prostatitis. And a prostate who's hard, big or not big, or maybe a hard nodule, it means this is cancer of the prostate.
Doctor, what's normal? What's normal?
Normal is close to the firm thing, but firm, not enlarged, it's not BPH. And then you have to look for what about why someone came to you with a normal prostate. Tell me, why someone has come to see you and allow you to put your finger in his rectum if he has a normal prostate?
I'm doing examination.
So, look, examination, trust me, if you are, this is a very personal type of test. If you want to do this test, you have to get a confidence from your patient. You cannot do it to any walking to and this person might slap you or do bad thing for you. It's a very personal area. Got it? Any questions, any concerns? So remember these points. These are very critical points. Guys, these are very critical points. So, peripheral zone becomes hard. Means it is harboring cancer. So cancer majority emerge in the peripheral zone. That's why I use a word. Someone who has cancer in prostate may present with urinary complaints, may not present with urinary complaints. So most of the situation, they don't present with the urinary complaints. Most of the situation, they don't present with the urinary complaints because the disease, look, if you are riding on a bike, and there are 4 people sitting on that bike, still you can accommodate because you are expanding laterally. There are no limits to your bike. But if you are sitting in a small car, you cannot put 4 people like me in one seat. You have to bring 2 or 3 maximum. If you want to put more people, put people like Qasim, so you can have more. Or Ahmad. So you can have these, because these people are thin textured people. But like me, like Manal, like our friend, so you cannot. So that is more space. Got it? So I hope it's clear. Transitional zone which immediately surrounds the urethra for BPH. Central zone for nothing. Peripheral zone for cancer. And now there is a 4th zone also mentioned. That is the fibromuscular zone or anterior zone. Garbage. Nothing. It doesn't do anything. Enlarged or not enlarged, no big deal. Old books, old people talk of the concept of the lobes. That concept of the lobes is gone. Nobody is talking anymore. So don't mention, don't stress out when you see this word. This median lobe, lateral lobe, this lobe, that lobe is obsolete. Finished. Void. Grace says that, I can show you. There is no concept left after the 20th week of pregnancy. There is no concept left for the lobes of the prostate. Clinician talks, this is a baby, I can show you, I have a Grace, better Grace. So, the clinician talks about zones. Histologists talk about the zones, only must have mentioned to you about the zones. So, nobody talks about the lobes. I don't want to go in this discussion, it takes 1 hour to complete it. So, now let's come to a prostate. Make a cut section. You are looking at the capsule which surrounds it. This is the true capsule of the prostate. Inside the parenchyma of the prostate, just see very carefully. We have so many glands and ducts, and they are draining into the prostatic urethra. And there are so many. And this is my prostatic urethra. This is the prostatic utricle. I mentioned that it's the remnant of the uterus and vagina in males. Right? So now, these are the different areas. This is the verumontanal part, raised part, and this is the prostatic sinus. These are two ejaculatory ducts, which runs through the substance of the prostate. But they never open in the prostate. Their destiny is to go and open in the urethra. Now, these are the posterior surfaces. We no more use this word lobe. When you'll find this slide, you'll never find the lobe, the word lobe written there. So now, this is the central sulcus. Now, this zone. What do you think this zone is? This green. Don't say central. It's the transitional zone. It's the transitional zone. So benign disease comes from here. If this zone has enlargement, if this zone has more fibrous element, it will compress on the urethra directly and it will cause urinary symptoms. Now, if this zone is involved, which is a big one, that is peripheral zone, cancer comes from here. It's all written here, prostatic cancer. Is this clear? Now, look at it in another view. Urethra, urinary bladder, transitional zone, central zone, peripheral zone, and this number 4 is fibromuscular zone. Is that clear? He's doing this. I don't know which rectum he's going. So in this picture you can see the central zone, transitional zone, peripheral zone. I don't like the quality of this picture. I will not post it to you guys. Now again, same. Now guys, this is an enlarged prostate. Now, let's talk quickly here. You are looking at a coronal section or a frontal section through the pelvis. Quickly make it. Pelvic drain, we spent time on that. You remember? We have obturator internus muscle covered by the obturator fascia. I want to bring this for you. This is levator who makes my pelvic floor. And there you can see this is our rectum guys. Right? And that is my pelvic floor. Pelvic diaphragm. And you can see that here we have sphincters. 1, 2 and 3 around the rectum. And this one is internal sphincter. So this 1, 2, 3 external anal sphincters, they are navis potential. And one is internal sphincter, that is involuntary, and these are voluntary. Is that clear? Ureters, peritoneum covers it. This is what pudendal nerve is here. You want to do some procedure here, you block this nerve, you can achieve some relief. How we do it? I'll show it to you. Now, this is a side view. Same pelvic wall. I mentioned about levator and I, coccygeus piriformis. They are making my pelvic floor, pelvic diaphragm. This is the rectum, this is the anal canal. You can see these fibers of the same levator and I. They encircle these tubes and they are making external sphincters, external anal sphincters. Now you can see that common iliac. This is, what do you think? Is common iliac? Yes. And then you can see external iliac, internal iliac. Internal iliac, anterior division, posterior division. And you can see its branches. It's going to the organ which lives in the pelvis. Obturator now you can see it's going. And this is my lumbosacral trunk. Somebody was asking me lumbosacral trunk. There is a sacral plexus making sciatic nerve. What I want to bring for you, I'm interested in this one. I'm making my ventral rami S2, 3 and 4. I get pudendal. Where it is? Supplies external sphincters of urethra. Root value S2, 3, 4. This is important. We block this nerve so you can see that it supplies the anal sphincter, it supplies the urethral sphincter. This is the sympathetic chain, ganglion and power. What are these? Yes, we talked this morning. Parasympathetic. Thank you very much. Pelvic splanchnic nerves. Got it? Now, now we are more conformed to prostate. You know about these structures. I'm not putting weight on this. Now, what are these? At the neck of the bladder, at the intramural part of the urethra. Urethra has first part called intramural part, or intravesical part, or pre-prostatic urethra. So many names: bladder neck, intramural, intravesical, pre-prostatic, and bladder neck. Same meaning, 4 different words. Talking about first part of urethra. You can see internal sphincter. Internal urethral sphincter. Why we have it? Why we need it? I'll talk about it. This is very important concept. You must know this. Trigone. Prostate. Be focused here. I'll be bringing external sphincter shortly. Ejaculatory duct. Seminal colliculus, utricle. I'm bringing up, yes, this is what I need. Can you see I bring something here? This is my external sphincter. This is my external sphincter, this is my internal sphincter. Now, female don't have internal sphincter. Female urethra don't have internal sphincter. They only have external sphincter. If any book says female have internal sphincter, this is just a symbolic. It's not a real one. It's not a functional one. Why is that?
Physiological, not anatomic.
Physiological, not anatomic. I don't care what is physiology, what is anatomy. I care what is the function.
Because you don't want to interfere the urine with the semen. Why do you?
Okay. You have the same?
The same.
Same.
Because most of the urinary bladder is smooth muscle.
And male?
Skeletal.
Most of it is almost 100% smooth muscle. Huh. Now what happens? You said right. Once you have erection, tell me. Once there is an erection, this sphincter being closed, this sphincter should be closed. Why? Because erection is followed by ejaculation. Erection, we learned that, is a parasympathetic, and ejaculation is a sympathetic. So, who supplies here? Sympathetic. And once there is an erection, it has to be closed. It is closed. Now, the semen is being pushed from this ejaculatory duct. It has to come to this prostatic urethra. The job of this semen has to go forward, to reach to the vagina, to reach to the cervix, to reach to the ova. So, if this channel is not closed, this semen will push back into the bladder. And now it is called retrograde ejaculation. Nothing or very minimal comes out. Very minimal comes out, very less chances of fertilization, very less chances of outcome of pregnancy. And this person, this male, after completing this act, when he passes urine, he can see semen floating in his urine. What happens? In various surgeries which are occurring at the pre-prostatic urethra, one of the surgery for removal of prostate, we have to cut this internal sphincter. We have no other choice. This internal sphincter has to be gone. Now once it is gone, now every time, so usually this prostatic disease is not a disease of early age. It's a disease which affects you when most likely you have completed your family. 50s and 60s, that's the age bracket. So now, even if you have completed your family, you have as much you want, kids you had, So now even if there is retrograde ejaculation, you don't mind. But before, you do mind. So if this is not closed, all the semen, majority of the semen will go to the bladder. And you don't want it to happen. So in females, there is no issue of sperms. So they don't need any internal sphincter. But male needs external and internal both. Got it? Is this point clear? Why female don't need and why female don't have internal sphincter? Now, going further. This is the prostatic venous plexus. We are good with that. Now, parts of the male urethra. We talk about this number 1, pre-prostatic urethra. Number 2, prostatic urethra. I use a word here. It's the widest part of the urethra. Most broadest part of the urethra. Number 3, when it passes through that muscle, we call it membranous. This membranous is a very delicate part of the urethra. When we are inserting the Foley's catheters, the tubes in the urethra, when we need to insert these tubes, tell me, this has been explained in the labs. When you insert Foley's catheter, when you need to insert Foley's catheter, anybody else? So somebody who's comatose, somebody who's unable to move, but still we don't put in that, but somebody who's unable to move in a sense is totally stroke. Somebody who's undergoing a major surgery, somebody after some surgical procedure, some surgical repair on the urethra, someone who's bedridden. So these are the situations where, because catheterization itself has so many hazards, and who are the people where you should not put a catheter? And this is where you should put and where you should not put.
For example, if a child has the damage in the spongy urethra, we need to shift free. It doesn't have, for example, further damage.
No, your answer is very right, but you put it in a very cornered way. Your answer is right. There is no problem with your answer. Anybody can correct. His answer is 100%. What did he say? Learn to speak loud. But he said the meaning is, if you suspect injury to the urethra, Bashir, if you see injury, how you suspect there is an injury? Urethra will never say I had an injury. If you see blood at the external urethral meatus, never insert it. If you do that, you can complete an incomplete injury. There is a partial injury. By putting that tube, you make it complete. One part of urethra goes this way, other goes this way. Partial damage, you convert into a complete damage. Now, we were talking about, so why I'm bringing it here, the point number 3, I said membranous urethra, shortest and the most delicate. So once we are catheterizing, we have to be very careful, we should not be pushing hard. Otherwise, we can perforate the urethra at this place. During catheterization or during any instrumentation, if we are not gentle, we can damage urethra at this place, because this is where it is very thin, very weak, and it is more susceptible for injury. Now, this point number 4, that is the spongy urethra. Spongy urethra has 2 parts. It has a bulbar part, it has a penile part. So, bulbar portion of the spongy urethra, prone to tear and straddle injury. What do you mean by straddle injury? Any idea?
On bicycle.
Hold on, let me.
The chair of the bicycle, it has like an extended part. If the person falls.
When you fall, he's very right. When you're riding a bicycle, have you seen kids?
Usually.
When they're riding bicycle, they don't sit on the seat. They are on their legs, and there is a bar in between. So if they fall on that bar, or other thing, be very careful when you're walking on the streets. When you're walking on the streets and you see manholes, the round ones, please, for God's sake, never step on that. If it is loose, you step on this, it will topple. And you will be falling like this. You'll broke your pelvis, your whole body weight and your urethra will be crushed. And you will be damaging your bulbar part of the urethra. And this is called when you are hitting. When you are hitting, trust me, these round holes, manholes, they are deadly and dangerous areas. Never ever step on that. If you see it, stay away from that. It's very dangerous. Because they never know it's moving. If it is fixed, it's fine. So be careful. Is this clear? And then you'll be riding like you're riding a horse, but down is a big solid, steel thing. And then you'll be landing on that, your both legs will be in the manhole, and your pelvis will be broken and people will pull you out. You cannot come out yourself. And then you have damaged your urethra, you have damaged your pelvis, you have caused major damage, maybe bladder. So, point number 5, penile portion. Guys, parts of urethra are very important. This place here, first, spongy urethra has 2 parts, bulbar part and a penile part. After that, there are certain other things will come in the next slide. So now, this is a bulbar urethral gland, we talk about it, what it is for and what is happening. Now, same picture. Now, someone has, what is the difference between, see here now, focus here. This is a normal. This is a normal presentation. Someone has enlargement, someone has hyperplasia in the transitional zone of the prostate. So after that, look at the lumen, look at the position of the internal sphincter, and now compare it with the next coming slide. Can you see the difference? It is narrowed. Number 1, it is narrowed. Number 2, this, because this is tightening up here, so wall of the bladder has been pushed inwards. Now just stay focused. This is what happens with BPH people. They present with prostatism. What is prostatism? Or lower urinary tract symptoms, LUTS, RUTS. It's the same thing, 2 names. So what happens in this situation? Enlarged prostate causes these things. This is the ureteric orifice, normal. Now this is elevation. Because the peripheral zone is pushing. So it is protruding. Now what we are looking at, can you see it's increasing more? So there is a distortion. So transitional zone of the prostate is pushing and then it causes this protrusion. So there is, urine comes with the pressure. Guys, this is the most important slide for today. So increased vesical pressure during attempted voiding. So once your urethra was fine, you had one push on the detrusor, you are passing urine out. But now, once your urethra is narrowed, now your bladder has to work hard to push the urine out. Once bladder is working hard to push the urine out, the bladder walls become thick. Urine still stays because the flow channel is narrow. Urine stays, infection. Infection, stone formation. Urine stays. Loss of obliquity, reflux. Urine goes in the ureters, goes into the pelvis, goes into the pelvic system, destroys the cortex, and an end-stage kidney azotemia. Kidney is just throwing proteins out. End-stage kidney, chronic renal failure. That's the result if you don't get it treated. So now, first step, because of this enlargement. What is second? What changes you can see? Distorted internal sphincter. Can you anticipate the distortion? Now distortion of the prostatic urethra, becoming narrow. So now, there is a space formed. So urine accumulates here. You pass urine, you come out. Still there is some urine left across the trigone. You have a sensation. Still I'm not done. Still a sense of incomplete voiding. I'm unable to evacuate my bladder because some urine stays in the trigone. So it's not causing any stretch. It's just giving a perception, a feeling. So you go again, then you go again. Now, when you go to the bathroom, you pass your urine, how much time you spend? 1 minute? Maximum 2 minutes. But these people, they go, then wait for 30 minutes. Because this urine will come, drop, 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 drop. Something is coming, then drop, drop. And then, coming out, he's going again. What's wrong? The whole, if there is one bathroom in the home, everybody is disturbed. They have to make another one. Because the whole family is disturbed. So, that is happening. And that's the beginning of the story. So, distortion. And then, this urine stays here, continuous feeling of urine, like I have urine to pass. Then, collection of residual urine, and this collection goes even more than 100 mils is staying in the bladder. So bladder become a source of infection. Now, this urine, because this urine now which stays here, more urine is coming, is dribbling down. This sphincter is not working. So it is causing stress on the external sphincter. So now there is little bit leakage. You move little bit, some drops of urine coming out. So we call it overflow type of incontinence. You are overflowing the urine. Normally it was closed here, so you never perceived this problem. But now this is dysfunctional because of this problem. So that's why during this surgery we chop it off. It's okay. So dribbling of urine. You understand all these? So this 1 to 5 are called prostatism or lower urinary tract symptom. And who's the mother for all that is the transitional zone. So urethra was going through it, so it was causing all these problems to the prostatic urethra. Make sense?
Yes.
Now, I'm showing you a vagina and anal canal. Why I'm showing you here? We put a finger through the vagina. This lady is in the process of childbirth. My fingers have been directed towards the ischial spine. And here I have the channel of the passage of pudendal nerve. So I'm directed my fingers towards the ischial spine. I feel that through the vagina, then what I'll do? With the pudendal nerve, I'll bring a stent which has an injection material which desensitize, make this nerve sleep. So now when I inject around this, I put medicine here. I'm not injecting in the nerve, I'm injecting around the nerve. And I know the location. How I confirm it? By putting my hand in the vagina, I feel it. Once I do it, in this area, I have certain areas which have their certain supply. So this area 1 is for, there is an area 2 is for, and there is area 3 is for. So let's see, 1 is for sensory innervation. But if I block this much area I can cut, patient will not feel any pain. When we do it, when we do this procedure, when there is a childbirth and head of the baby is big, now how it can come out? If you allow the woman to put pressure, this vagina can tear, and this tear can be uncontrolled. It can go to the anus, it can go, so it will have more worse problem. So what we do, we inject this thing and then we cut it. A control cut, an uncontrolled cut has different consequences. So you made a control cut, now space is quite wide, deliver the baby out. Deliver the baby out, sew the place. But if you don't do it, if you let her push this baby out, this tear may go to the anus, may damage the external anal sphincters, may damage certain other things. Then repairs are very bad, very difficult. So to optimize, you make a control cut. So you block this. And this is how. Now what is this area 1 and 2? Trust me, they are of your interest. Area 1 and 2 supplies here also. And this one is posterior femoral cutaneous nerve supplies here also. So be careful for that. If you want to achieve something, you can block those nerves, you get this work done. Patient will not find any single pain. Now, urethra. So how we approach if someone has an enlarged prostate? We approach very old fashioned, cut the abdomen, go through the bladder, open it, take the prostate out. Very old. I think I saw it, but I never did it in my life because it's maybe 100-year-old man. Suprapubic approach. These are approaches, nobody will ask you these. Number 2, we did it for very huge prostates. Retropubic. We don't go through the bladder, we go directly. This is the most common. We go through the urethra, external meatus. And if anything goes, because why? This is the safest, no issues, no scar, no wound, no injury. Good early recovery. These are lessons. So, if a unit does 5,000 surgeries on prostate in a year, they may be doing 10 of this. And they will not be doing any one of this. So we go from here, we put the camera in, we resect this prostate out, and we come out, we put a tube, and patient can be back to work after 3-4 weeks. Usually it's an old man, usually retired. Now, this is the transurethral route, very famous, very common. And they put the reason why. And now this is a very, I have never seen it being done. They usually go through the perineum, they make a separate hole, exteriorize it, and patient can void like a female. Perineum. So you make a separate direct hole. I have never seen it being done. I have seen only one picture of it. Now, these are the parts of the male reproductive system. So you can see that corpora cavernosa, corpora spongiosum covering the urethra, testis, vas deferens, and then it's going to the posterior surface of the bladder, seminal vesicles. And there is the prostate. There is the urethra. So now, let's level it quickly. Ampulla, ureter, urinary bladder, corpora, scrurus. Now, this is important. Let's level it. We have done part of it. We know about pre-prostatic urethra. We know about prostatic urethra. We know about membranous urethra. Now, we said spongy urethra has a bulbar part, has a penile part. There is, when it before entering out, before exiting out, it expands. We call it navicular fossa, and the external urethral meatus is the most narrowest point in the urethra. Now see it carefully. Listen to me carefully. Most narrow point. Point susceptible to injury during straddle type of injury. What is straddle? When you are riding a bike, you damage bulbar urethra. When you are catheterizing, you can damage membranous urethra. And this is the widest urethra. Most narrow, most wide. Most broad. And there we have internal sphincter, there we have external sphincter. We have talked about it. So these are the curves. Male urethra shows two curves. It's S shape. And if we don't negotiate these curves, we can come directly out. We cause damages. So there are two bends in the pathway of the male urethra. So this is bulbar urethral gland, internal urethral sphincter, external urethral sphincter. It's written here, this is smooth, this is skeletal. Involuntary, voluntary. We explain this. Now, guys, this slide is important for one concept. Don't go in the details of this. Just see that. Be with me. We are talking about the fascias. Let me complete it, then I will talk about it. So what we have learned, we were learning these different fascias. We call it Colles fascia, we call it Darter's fascia, and we give different names. We call it Buck's fascia. Now, we have arrangement of half underwear concept, and that is the arrangement of the superficial fascia, how it is attached. Let's see that. There is no back, only front. Let's make him wear that. So what happens? When in bulbar urethral injuries, when urethra ruptures, we don't see urine going above the umbilicus, and we don't see urine going to the legs, because this fascia attack and this fascia, this is being blended here and it closes it up. So no urine extravasation is being visible there. So now how that has been achieved? So you can see that Scarpa's fascia blends with fatty layers superior and then attached to the deep fascia of the leg. So this is how it has been blended, and it is localizing this space. And what we'll achieve? Fascia lata is being, so this is how it is closing up the whole area. Now, coming to this picture, we are good with that. Injury to the bulbar urethra. See what happened. Injury, rupture. Urine can go into the scrotum, can confine within this blue thing, and can go up, cannot reach above the umbilicus. We know that Scarpa's blended with the. So, once there is an injury, you can see urine going in this. You can see this patient showing you blue hue in the part below the umbilicus, or you do an MR, you can see there is an extravasation of urine in this space. So, you can directly go back. It's a bulbar urethral injury. Make sense? So if I go to this concept, now in this concept, you know, this is all attached Fascia is attached from all the sides. So we can see only its extravasation, the urine which leaks out, can be visible under the skin in these areas. And why is there? Because this is attached to the skin. Got it?
Yes.
Is this concept clear? This is a must-know type of information. We could work on. Now, let me say a few words regarding female urethra. Female urethra is shortest, is very small, it's straight. There are no curves. There are no parts like spongy urethra, vulvar urethra, and this and that. So it is straight, and it's prone to infection. There are very less damages. It only have external sphincter. There is no internal sphincter. We talk in detail why we don't need internal sphincter in female urethra. Now, we don't have internal sphincters. What happens? A female, the urinary bladder, she don't have a prostate. Normally, the bladder neck, the lowermost part of the urinary bladder, it rests above the levator ani muscle, the pelvic floor, pelvic diaphragm. Now, when there is increased intra-abdominal pressure, when we have increased intra-abdominal pressure, when you are coughing, when you are sneezing, when you are laughing, when you are bending, so everything contracts. So, the job of internal sphincter is being provided by the stretch of levator ani muscle. Correct? Now this woman have multiple pregnancies, have so many babies, especially like here. You see a normal, now the new generation, I think the trend has changed a lot, but if you see the old generation, every home there are 12, 10 kids from one mother. So if you have that much deliveries, look, not every woman has the problem. There are issues with, it's variable. So there are more chances. There we have more deliveries. More deliveries, more instrumentation, more blah blah things. Like more deliveries, no problem. But instrumentation and all that, even less deliveries. There are chances they may, when they cut for various things, they may damage this levator ani muscle. They may cause damage to this pelvic diaphragm. This pelvic diaphragm becomes weak, becomes damaged, becomes problematic. Now the neck of the bladder is getting out of this levator. This levator ani itself will become weak. Now there is any condition where we have increase in intra-abdominal pressure, there is no support. So now she passes urine. When she is coughing, some drops of urine coming out. She laughs, some drop of urine comes out. She go in ruku, some drops of urine comes out. She go in sajda, some drops of urine comes out. We call it stress incontinence. It's a very big disease. Trust me. If you talk within the families, within your own kabila, you'll find there are so many who are affected, and they cannot in a situation of how will be confessed. Now think of Muslim women. They are praying. The best thing is they are praying. So now for each prayer, each sajda, how many clothes they carry? How many times they have to clean them? And now with passage of this urine drops, they are stinking bad. You can find when you go close to them, you can smell some urine coming out of them. Where they are sitting, where they are living, you find some smell. So don't blame them. They are suffering. They are under disease. They are not healthy people. They are not doing by intention. So socially they cut off. Everywhere where they go, they are scared. They are thinking of where is the restroom. And think of a woman, a nice old lady who has a dignity in the society, who's mother for someone, who's grandmother for someone, and if she passes urine in her clothes, how much respect she gets. Nobody will, oh, she passed urine yesterday in the party. You see that?
No.
So, poor she stopped going every day. No, I don't want to go. Actually, she wants to go, but she don't want to show people. She is suffering. So this is something which is really important. And why this is happening, these are the various reasons. So, after this, when this becomes weak, the sphincter goes weak. We know that the external sphincter also part of the levator ani. When the levator ani gets weak, why not parts of it get weak? When it gets weak, sphincter urethra becoming loose. So now we don't have that good strong pressure, and then we have these troubles. I hope it's clear.
Yes.
So I have tried so we can see the spread of the extravasation now, guys. Come to this slide. There we are looking at, we are doing a procedure. We insert a contrast material through the urethra and you are looking at its different parts. You are looking at penile urethra, spongy urethra. Spongy is the bulbar part. Penile part, bulbar part. You are looking at membranous urethra. This is the prostatic urethra. And it's not numbered here. This place where I put my cursor, that is the pre-prostatic urethra, intramural urethra, intravesical urethra, or bladder neck. These are the names given to this place. I hope it's clear.
Yes.
Going further, you can see that it's been colored, so you can differentiate what is the extent of the membranous, the prostatic, and then the bulbar and the penile part of the urethra. Is that clear? So now, this is the description for prostate. Now somebody wants this to show to him, so I'm bringing that for him, zones of the prostate. Now, hey, Ahmed, can you read that? But it is now recognized that the 5 lobes can only be distinguished in the fetal gland prior to 20th week of gestation. Between then and onset of VPH, only 3 lobes are recognized, 2 lateral lobes. So now clinicians refer to left and right lobes when describing. So now this concept, zonal anatomy, is now being described. So this lobal anatomy is gone. This is from Grace for you. You are showing me your baby book. I'm showing you from adulthood. So now, coming to this slide. The prostate, what is its blood supply from inferior vesicle, middle rectal, and internal pudendal vessels. Veins, it runs through it. We talk about the plexus. Lymphatic drainage. Lymphatic of prostate pass across pelvic floor mainly to the internal iliac nodes and few may reach to the external iliac. So internal iliac, external iliac. And nerve supply, parasympathetic innervation from the pelvic sphincter. We are good with pelvic sphincter. Via the inferior hypogastric plexus. So if you write inferior hypogastric plexus, it's fine. The muscle fibers of the stroma, which contracts to empty the glands during ejaculation, are under sympathetic control from the inferior hypogastric plexus. So simply, inferior hypogastric plexus is the one which is supplying, it is giving parasympathetic and sympathetic. Now these are the further details for this and that. Now I'm not concluding here. I want to go back, but I think we have covered that part. Now I hope you can figure out yourself. Detrusor, smooth muscle, detrusor contracts, external sphincter give base. Internal sphincter, internal sphincter contract, external contract relaxes, the urine passes out, and vice versa it goes out. So that is the nerve supply of the bladder. We talk about the bladder neck, so that is what we need to know it. So I think so, from my side, I had finished the anatomy part of my assumption, I had finished the anatomy part of the renal section. So if there is anything, please feel free to write me. I may find some way to come to you and I'll try to resolve your things. But I think that is it, and I can see you can survive in a nice way, because remember, kidney is a very, renal block is a very small area. You only have kidney, ureter, bladder, prostate, urethra, 5 things. If you are good with these 5 elements, nobody can stop you from getting 100% marks. Exams are, these are 5 areas, so you can target, you can speculate the questions, you can focus on the material, you can look back into the things, and I will see if there is any big hiccups which can bother you. Do you have any questions so far what we have talked here? Anything which is bothering you? If you have something, please feel free to say it. Say that. So it means you have nothing to say. Now, be ready for your attendance part.